Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Another great article here from the Mobile Report. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So for those of you who saw the video where I said T-Mobile needs to be careful from a competitive perspective, well, since then they've made another change. So I wanna check out this change. I want to inform you guys of the change. So T-Mobile rebrands Carrier Freedom to Family Freedom. Welcomes Verizon switchers. So as I stated in the video that T-Mobile needs to be careful, they really need to. Right? There's only 3 carriers right now that are really fiercely competing against each other. Dish is a disruptor, but they don't really have much impact. So it's really just AT&T, Verizon going back and forth, and T-Mobile is kind of in the middle, right? T-Mobile is not necessarily the odd man out, but they are the most growing carrier by volume by far, right? In the fourth quarter, they outgrew Verizon and AT&T by like 40%. So they still grow the most. But if they don't start refreshing, rebranding, changing, that could slow down, even if it's only by a little bit, but it'll add up. If we're talking about quarters after quarters after quarters, it will eventually add up to something bigger. So let's look into this briefly. So Carrier Freedom has been a long time Un-carrier move for T-Mobile since 2015. Earlier this year, T-Mobile increased the value in the program to offer up to $3,200. Since then, AT&T struck back with Switch and Save, an offer that assertively outpaced the Carrier Freedom. The company is willing to part with a staggering $8,000 to get your 10 lines converted. Again, T-Mobile has to be careful. AT&T seems like they're willing to spend. Verizon now seems like they're willing to spend. So now that T-Mobile has responded with Family Freedom, what they claim is an evolution to Carrier Freedom beyond a new name. The value for the program remains the same, a step behind AT&T. So even though they changed the naming and the refresh, they're still not as aggressive. So here's some of the details. In what was a perfect time for T-Mobile to play ball with AT&T, no improvements have been made to the amount of lines or maximum value in Family Freedom. The program still caps at 4 lines, a maximum of $800 per line, which totals up to be $3,200. Again, T-Mobile needs to be careful. One major change is port-ins from Verizon are now compatible for the program. Typically, Verizon phones were carrier unlocked, so switches to T-Mobile typically used to be under a keep and switch. In the event that wasn't viable for you, now you could leverage Family Freedom instead, which it's not any different for the Verizon customer. It just adds Verizon to it, so you're still getting the $800 per line for 4 lines. So not as aggressive anymore, T-Mobile, right? In regards to that, AT&T far more aggressive, right? But again, like I said, if it at some point bothers T-Mobile, if they see a change in the numbers, they will make modifications to Family Freedom. They will increase if they need to. I say this in a lot of videos. T-Mobile is all about growth. If their growth is slowing, they're going to make change. They need growth. That is what their stock is based upon. That is what the entire company's strategy is based on, is growth. And they reconfirmed that at the Capital Markets Day last year, October. They want to grow. They're in acceleration mode now. So if AT&T is throwing out all this money, $8,000 for 10 lines, if Verizon is going to do what they're doing with the price lock and throwing out all this money, if it affects T-Mobile's bottom line, if it affects their growth, they will have to respond. They will make modifications and tweaks to the Family Freedom. They will make modifications and tweaks to the Switch and Keep and Save. They will do it. Trust me on that. So just wanted to make you guys aware of this new rebrand to Family Freedom. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all in the next one. Peace.